So hi everyone, people are still coming in, so we'll get started very shortly. But in the meantime, we've launched our poll so that you can share where you're coming from today. Okay, well, hello and welcome. My name is Gillian Bloomfield, and I work for the Environmental Leadership and Training Initiative at Yale University, or ELTI. I'm joined by my colleague Saskia Santamaria, ELTI's Neotropics Associate, and our director, Dr. Eva Guerin. So we're so pleased to welcome you today to the official launch of the 8-part webinar series, Forest and Landscape Restoration in Practice. ELTI is an initiative of Yale University's School of the Environment and the Forest School, which receives generous support from Arcadia, a charitable fund of Lisbeth Rousing and Peter Baldwin. We are a global team of individuals and partner organizations working to train and support people from all sectors and backgrounds to restore and conserve tropical forest landscapes using strategies that support biodiversity and livelihoods. Before our first speaker, I'd like to introduce Dr. Eva Guerin, ELTI's director, for a few opening words.
Wonderful. Thank you, Gillian. It is such an honor to be here today to launch this exciting new webinar series focused on forest and landscape restoration in practice. So with the launch of the UN Decade for Ecosystem Restoration, the Bond Challenge, and many other global initiatives that focus on restoring our planet, it is imperative to understand how to regain and protect ecological functionality using strategies that support livelihoods and human well-being. So ELTI has been working for the past 15 years to develop the capacity of over 8,000 leaders who manage and govern tropical forest landscapes to achieve this balance, and the results are really inspirational. So during this 8-part webinar series, we're going to hear directly from the people who have taken ELTI's field and online courses and have participated in our leadership program about how they're applying and sharing the knowledge that they learned to make profound differences around the globe. And it's one thing to write or teach about the importance of forest and landscape restoration and the need to meet ambitious restoration targets, but we have so much to learn from the experience of the people who are putting these strategies into practice. So learning about their successes and challenges on the ground, as well as their wisdom about next steps and best practice, is essential for achieving meaningful and long-lasting restoration targets and aspirations. So this really was the inspiration for this webinar series, to provide a platform for ELTI's restoration leaders around the world to share their experiences and impart their wisdom. We are so grateful for their dedication and their innovation, and it's truly an honor to have this opportunity to learn from them directly. So thank you all so much for joining this unique and important webinar series, and we look forward to your questions and your feedback over the months to come. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Eva. And throughout this series, as Eva mentioned, we'll be celebrating the experiences and perspectives of our alumni. So we're super excited to be joined today by 3 alumni. You're welcome to give us a little wave when I call your name. We have with us Tharuka Dissanaike, Technical Advisor for the United Nations Development Program in Sri Lanka. Cherif Djitte, Country Director for Trees for the Future Senegal. Hi. And Mahmoud Ehsanul Hoque, or as he likes to be called, Ehsan, National Advisor for Environment for UNHCR, which is the UN Refugee Agency in Bangladesh. So all 3 of these speakers are graduates of the 2019-2020 offering of ELTI's online certificate program, which is entitled Tropical Forest Landscapes Conservation, Restoration, and Sustainable Use. This certificate program was launched in 2019 with the goal of providing a year-long experience for practitioners around the world to take a deep dive into the social, ecological, and funding aspects of tropical land management. By being a part-time online program, we're able to have participants from over 30 different countries learning together as a community and also continuing their amazing work around the world. And a key aspect of the program is what we call the capstone project. So that's a project by which the participants throughout the whole year apply the knowledge learned throughout the program to the development, design, and advancement of specific conservation and restoration projects. All three of these participants will be presenting what they've been up to in the past few years to you all. And they're to you all logging in from around the world and including their fellow classmates, which I can see here in the audience. So wonderful to see all of you. So from raising funding for their capstone project to implementing and achieving results to applying the skills learned and credentials of the program as a springboard to another position, all three have accomplished so much in the certificate program and in the past year since their graduation. And personally, what I find so special is that all three have such fascinating and different projects. And we really hope that these presentations can provide useful insights and inspiration on the practical aspects of forest and landscape restoration. So some logistics. We welcome you to fill out the poll to share where you're coming from today. We'll share the results midway through the session, and to avoid issues with connectivity and to provide access to subtitles, today's speakers have kindly pre-recorded their short presentations. We'll hear each of the presentations and then have a chance for short discussion together. This session is being recorded and we will send it out via email in the next few days, as well as post it to ELTI's YouTube channel. And feel free to take a look at the chat where my colleague Saskia Santamaria and I will be posting relevant links and resources. So we're going to get started with our presentation from our speaker, Tharuka Dissanaike. Let me get that up. So hi, Tharuka. Tharuka is a technical advisor at the United Nations Development Program in Sri Lanka. She specializes in environmental management, climate change, and disaster resilience. In addition to various roles and activities with UNDP as team leader and a policy specialist, she has also worked as a consultant for numerous agencies in Nepal, Laos, and Sudan. And she's provided services to the Parliament of Sri Lanka. Tharuka is presently leading discussions on the sustainable development and the 2030 agenda for the UNDP country office and the United Nations in Sri Lanka. So today, Tharuka will share with us the context and design for forest landscape restoration project that integrates the conservation of rare species, restoration of tree cover, and sustainable production of tea and rubber in a highly populated and intensively cultivated area of Sri Lanka. So thank you, Tharuka. I'm just going. There we go.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tharuka Dissanaike. I work as a technical advisor for the United Nations Development Program. I was part of the first cohort of the Tropical Forest Restoration online program of ELTI, and that's why I'm here speaking to you today. And I'd like to share with you my capstone project, which I presented when it was just an idea, a concept, which we were trying to work into a project. And I'm glad to say we've now secured funding from the Global Environment Facility. And it's a project which will be implemented by the government of Sri Lanka with UNDP's support. So the capstone project is about conserving critical biodiversity within an intensively productive landscape, which is Sri Lanka's tea plantations, tea and rubber both. So my presentation to you today is about how we come up with strategies for conservation and best practices that we hope we would be able to pilot through the project. So in this first slide, I just want to set the context. The slide on the left-hand side is basically showing you the the species, the endemic species distribution in Sri Lanka. So as you can see, 75% of the endemics are really concentrated or focused in Sri Lanka's southwestern corner, which is also called the wet zone because it's very rain rich. But if you take, on the other hand, the protected area distribution, there is really not much protected area coverage within this wet zone. It can be as little as 13% of the country's protected areas are found in the wet zone. So there's a critical gap between where our biodiversity is located and where our protected areas are located. Now, Sri Lanka's plantations, mainly tea, rubber, coconut, but tea and rubber are wet zone are in the wet zone, and they comprise together about 25% or more of the wet zone land use. Plus, they are a huge income earner for the country, foreign exchange earner. Ceylon tea is well known across the world. So, so this is an intensively productive or intensively worked landscape. It's very scenic, but it's also a hugely productive landscape. So the reasons we are looking at how we mainstream biodiversity within the plantation sector. So there are three key reasons why. So one is that many of these plantation areas or where the plantations are found interface with existing forest reserves, often fragmented forest reserves. And they harbor some of these critical elements of biodiversity, especially the endemic species. So for example, you can see here very clearly the forest, montane forest, cloud forest, the tea in the foreground, and where this is located and within the country, and you get a rare tree frog that is only found, it's a point endemic species. You find again swamp forest, a very rare ecosystem for Sri Lanka, and this is found totally in the rubber plantation landscape. So the second reason we want to put forward is that natural habitats found within the estates really harbor, there are remnant forests and remnant ecosystems within these plantation landscapes that harbor critical species, sometimes point endemics. So this is one biodiversity, the results of a biodiversity survey in one estate in the wet zone where, so many endemics were found. And this is just a quick cross section of the species that were found. And this is another estate in the wet zone. The third reason is that these estate landscape, forests, estate plantation and plantation forest, which is like eucalyptus or pinus forest for timber or commercial forestry, taken together, they serve as critical corridors that connect fragmented natural forests. And this has allowed the continued existence of these large areas under plantation cover, has allowed large megafauna to remain in this wet zone, even though it is highly populated and highly, intensively cultivated. So for example, we still get the Asian elephant in parts of the estate. You can see tea bushes in the right to the elephant and forest on the left, and you get leopard, and there is a lot of conflict. There's a lot of snaring, a lot of injury to the elephants and also to humans due to this. But it has allowed the large megafauna to actually exist in this landscape, these large plantations. So coming to how we have structured the project. So we have three main components. One is really on conserving and restoring the areas of high conservation value in this in the wet zone. The second component is how do we keep financing this work, because a project is a project, it has a finite time and space and also finite resources. So how do we actually finance the continuity of this work? How do we then do knowledge management, gender mainstreaming, learning monitoring around these two earlier components? So the strategies for conservation and restoration that we've come up with through, I think now almost a year of work on the ground, on mapping and talking to stakeholders, is we have 4 key strategies, but around these strategies, we have these guiding principles, basically using the remaining forests on the estates to strengthen the conservation. So to map and to recognize the value of the remaining forests. We will use estate forests, abandoned lands to connect fragmented protected areas, the few protected areas that remain in the wet zone. We will enhance the conservation value of forests through improved management, through restoration, and even doing pilots that bring, ex situ conserved rare and threatened species back into the forest, to in situ forest conservation actions. Then we would like to link the fragments remaining within plantations and increase the carrying capacity of the of threatened species and forest extents thereby. And we would like to really see public, private, and community, because plantation areas also have communities that are very marginalized. So how do we really bring these different partners together and develop models like ecotourism or even spices and other agroforestry models through these partnerships? So we have 4 strategic approaches, and I'll go by them one by one, and that will sort of sum up the presentation. So the first approach that we are looking at is to create corridors where we use plantation lands to link protected areas. So to the left, you would see on the satellite imagery, you have one dark patch, which is actually a very small protected area. It is a protected area. It's very small, however, but it is linked through the yellow outlined area, which is entirely mountain ridge on plantations, to a large protected area of which you see just the finger of it to the right of that picture, to the bottom right of the picture. So basically creating this kind of corridors using mountain ridges, using abandoned plantation lands to connect protected areas, which are, as you can see, like fragmented. I mean, the viability of this small protected forest is not good. And you can see how intensely the land is worked around it. There are so many people living around that protected area. So this is a strategy to increase the viability of these fragmented protected areas using plantation lands. The second approach is really about using the remaining forest. And we found through our mapping exercise, there are forests of sizable extent. And in the wet zone, where many species, the endemicity is really, to do with invertebrates, to do with herpetofauna. So why not, use established biodiversity refugia using the remaining forests? So this is the second strategy. So we will, even if a forest is isolated within the plantations, it's plantation around it, and there is a remaining patch of forest, it could still harbor fairly critical species, endangered species. We would be able to enrich it using in situ, ex situ conservation practices by reintroducing threatened species into these areas if the forest quality is still very good. And we've done some ground surveys and we found some really viable areas to do this, to actually do this strategy. So the third approach is to use the riparian corridors to connect fragments. So if you look at this picture, the green is a protected area. The yellow is an estate. The pink patches are remaining forests within tea estate land. And they are all interconnected through this to the stream network. So by protecting riparian corridors and establishing riparian connectivity, and this is something the plantation sector, the companies that own these plantations want to do anyway, given climate change and given other threats to water availability, and the fact that that will make it easier for them to go for certification like Rainforest Alliance or other sustainability certification, they would really like to invest in riparian restoration. So this is the other strategies. And finally, we think, use this very scenic, very dramatic landscape, which has waterfalls, which has forests, lakes, hiking, trekking, rock climbing, a lot of opportunity to develop very good community models for ecotourism. Now, there are a few models for ecotourism which are very high-end and probably does not really filter down to the community. On the other hand, there are very basic ecotourism facilities offered by the community, but not in a structured or not in a tailored or professional way. So we would like to support through the project to develop especially ecotourism, because this will also enhance the value of this natural asset and the species to the communities which are now engaged really in trapping, hunting, or killing, animals which they think are a threat to their life or livelihood. So through these 4 strategies, we'd like to see these impacts at the end of 5 years. Basically, something like 4,000 hectares of intact high conservation value forests, which we identified under strategy 2 under Refugee, to be conserved. At least 500 hectares of forest restoration. And these are the corridors that we discussed and the riparian habitats. And at least 1,000 hectares of tea rubber plantations, which will have sustainable land management, which is really about soil conservation and enhancing, the quality of the soil and preventing erosion on these very steep slopes. So this is basically the project and our strategies for conservation, which I must say here, the 4 strategies described are not just sound from an ecological perspective, but also we looked at the business sense of this, and it makes a lot of sense for the companies to protect their water, to ameliorate, the growing threat of climate change and the increased temperatures, to obtain certification from bodies like Rainforest Alliance, and also to actually be able to diversify their portfolio and maybe be able to attract more funding through maybe payment for ecosystem services or carbon credits. I will leave it here, and thank you very much. I'll be around for questions or any comments or clarifications. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tharuka. It's so nice to hear about all the amazing work that you've done since the certificate program and how you and your colleagues have been doing such detailed mapping and planning and engagement with all the different stakeholders to take the project from an initial concept it was a few years ago to now an ecologically sound plan. And congratulations on receiving the funding and starting implementation.
Thank you, Gillian. It was a pleasure.
So we'll get to we have 2 more talks, so we want to make sure we get to. So next we'll hear from Cherif Djitte, Country Director for Trees for the Future Senegal. Cherif is from the southern part of Senegal. He has a distinguished career working in different capacities for the Ministry of Environment and Sustainable Development of Senegal, and then from 2011 to 2020 working for Peace Corps Senegal as a program and training specialist for the agroforestry sector. Toward the end of his time in ELTI's certificate program in March 2020, Cherif was hired by Trees for the Future Senegal as their country director, and he's responsible for supervising, planning, developing, implementing, and evaluating all aspects of their Senegal program, and managing approximately 66 staff members and a large array of farmers and partners working to implement restoration and agroforestry systems across Senegal. So today, Cherif will walk us through the context for restoration in Senegal and the unique model that Trees for the Future is applying to help farmers prevent human-wildlife conflict through fencing, restoring trees, crop diversity to their lands, and overall to build the capacity of farmers to establish environmentally friendly and food-secure agroforestry systems. So thank you so much, Cherif.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. My name is Cherif Djitte. I am the country director of Tree for the Future Senegal. So my role is to oversee all this work that Tree for the Future is doing in Senegal, because we are contributing to the objective of tree planting in Senegal. So I have this connection with all those official government people, or the forest service people in Senegal, but also managing this stuff. I have around 60 to 70 farmers, technicians that I working. I'm supervising, but also we are working with around 6,000 stakeholders, 6,000 farmers. So we are working with. My connection with LTE is, I did this certificate, tropical certificate of restoration last year. So and since now I'm always connecting with this LTE. It's a very good certificate because it's helped me a lot in my current job. So I'm going to present you our work here in Senegal in terms of land restoration, what we are doing in Senegal. So yeah, first of all, I would like to present Tree for the Future. Tree for the Future is a USNGO. It's created in 1989 in Maryland. So they joined in Senegal, they arrived in Senegal around 2003. And we to work over on reforestation organization in different planting trees globally. So we are working in 60 developing countries. Only way to truly be successful in reforestation effort was to avoid deforestation. So using 3 years plus of agriculture and land agroforestry experiences to create and began to implement what we call forest garden approach in 2014. So our objective is to avoid deforestation and regreen land that were clearly for agriculture, to create a new paradigm for agroforestry using time-tested techniques, completely eliminate the needs of farmers to deforest local forests and clear cut land for agriculture, and also globally to enhance food security. So what is the problem? we must solve. So yeah, we see that the challenge is the land degradation. We are seeing also nutrition deficiency, climate change, the boom and boost cash crops, the cyclical poverty, so and immigration. So the deforestation and bushfire. So this is the main big issue, but also you can see also the overgrazing. So the poverty and the hungry, you see people doing this monoculture. Every time they cut in, slash and burn, doing the monoculture, the land, the soil, and become more and more poor, and the income reduce each year. So the soil is dying. So what we are seeing in Senegal, and we also have this desertification. So what we can do, and now we just think about forest garden. So what is forest garden? What is the purpose of forest garden? So forest garden is mean that we are going to do a restorative agriculture. The forest garden is a very simple and replicable, scalable everywhere, is serving the need of the family and the market. So we, the need of the family, that means food, but also for the market, also to sell it in the market. The diversity and the resiliency of agriculture, the agro industry and the smallholders. So the smallholders and the environment also. So this is the what we call the approach of agriculture. It's a sustainable solution that Tree for the Future is doing. This is an example of forest garden. You can find vegetable, you can find gardening inside. You can see also some fruit trees inside. You can see also some type of trees that are increasing the soil fertility, but also you can see the live fence around the farm. So this forest garden approach, we have three to four phases. The first phase is the mobilization. When you come to the farmers, we do what we call mobilization, to talk to the farmers, what they are eating, what their problem, what problem they are facing too. So what type of agriculture they are doing. So, and then we explain them the forest garden approach. The forest garden approach, we ask them the contribution of the farmers is the land, water source sometimes, but also the ability to work. And then we started the first year by the protection, because if you want to work in this area, so we have some animals that are also in this area. So we need to protect the farm against animals. So we started by doing the live fence around the land that we ask for farmers. The minimum size is around 1 acre. That means 0.5 hectare to 1 hectare. So, and they started to do some gardening inside, also to do some tree planting inside. So you can see this area before what they looked like before when we started, and then after 4 years. So we do have also what we call diversification. After the first activities of protection, to protect the land, and we always protect the land with the local materials. The local materials, and also we do what we call live fencing. They plant trees around, 20 trees around, and this land become more protective after 2 or 3 years. And then they do what they call the diversification. To diversify all the crop that they are doing. So what they need to eat and what they need also to sell in the market. Because what I said in the beginning, it was monoculture. So now with forest garden, they are not doing only one culture, and they are not doing they are not working only for during rainy season, because they are also working during the dry season. They are doing a lot of gardening and the optimization to see what kind of trees, fruit trees, and in the garden, in the very small garden, 1 hectare. So for a family member, a family of maybe 5 to 6 members, it can be sufficient for the family to survive. So as I said, the protection what we started, farmer will plant a windbreak and live fence and plan for the future. So they will have the design. This phase can last 1 to 2 years. So to keep unwanted and intruded away from the field, protect crops from livestock, prevent crop damage from stroke wind also. So what we did at this stage, the diversification. So it came around the 2nd year and the 3rd year. So farmers are carefully pick varieties of different fruit and vegetables that will grow in their field to ensure they will have something to sell at the market each month. So, but also it's not only to sell, because the first thing is to consume, to increase the dietary diversity and nutrition. So what we are doing also, and what we call also the optimization. So the forest garden management and conservation technique to increase the long-term health and productivity of their field, of their land. Additional income source to improve nutrition through optimization, horizontally and vertical space. So yeah, this grafted fruit trees that we introduce also in this garden. And then after 4 years, we go to the graduation, because after 4 years, you know that the field now is full of trees. The farmers also is well equipped in terms of knowledge, because everything from the first year when they started to the 4th year, we are always doing we are always training them. We are training them. Each activities is followed by training. Every time we do training, train them first before to implement all these activities. So we have a technician in the field. So those technicians are ensure that we train our technician, and most of our technicians, they are local technicians, so they are from this area. They don't have any language barrier or culture barrier or something like that. So they can train better those farmers during all these 4 years. You can see at the end what the forest can looks like, forest. So this forest garden, what we do, we put all those farmers that we are working with, we gather them into one project. So the project can contain about 200 and 250 farmers. So working together in one area, and each farmers can have at least 1 acre, 0.5 hectare each farmers. So they plant trees. What we estimate a little bit about 4,000 trees during the 4 years that the farmer can plant. The farmer can plant and restore this land. So the trees, they are there to restore the land, but also the farmers can do some vegetable gardening there. The farmers can plant trees, fruit trees inside there for the family, but also for the market. You know, yes. And after 4 years, we can graduate this farmers, because the farmer is fully knowledge now. He can even go and create another forest garden, but also he can go and train other farmers. So yeah, so this is what we are doing, because we know that this land restoration is very, 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 very important. So, and we are having a very good result on that. Last year, when I got Tree for the Future, this past season, we planted around more than 5 million trees in Senegal. And this year, our objective of planting trees is around 12 million trees. This is I know it's a lot, it's a big challenging, but I know it's possible because we are growing. So we have around more than 20 projects. So if we have more than 20 projects, each project is around 200 farmers. Imagine if 200 farmers, each farmers plant at least at least 1,000 trees. So they can do that. At least 1,000 trees, they can do that. I know they can do that. So we can reach this target. We can achieve our target, I'm sure, because we are also working with some organization. We support some local organization, the Federation of Farmers. We are working with one Federation of Farmers who have more than 3,000 farmers, supporting them to plant trees. Those farmers are doing mostly maize, and we are working with them to introduce trees in their land to improve their productivity. So yeah, this is what we are doing. This is our work. But also for the future, we also have a training center. So this training center is a platform accessible both web and app based that certificate train went around the world to use our 4 years forest garden training methodologies and track and share their progress. So yeah, here is how to find the application of this training center. So you can go by phone or Play Store, something like that. You can easily access to the training platform. So we can find a lot of resources in there. So we have also what we call library, and that technical manual, our facilitation guide, our farmer books. There's so many things that we develop that people can do online. Thank you so much. If we have questions, this is my contact. I have my email and my phone. This is WhatsApp phone. So WhatsApp phone number. Thank you so much. If any question.
Thank you so much, Cherif. And it was so inspiring to see all the amazing transformation in these systems and how you really are achieving scale, but by working with lots of people on such small size plots to make sure everything is meeting the needs of the local people. So
thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you.
And we've launched the poll results to share, and it's so neat to see how many people are coming in here from Asia, and that's really cool to see, even if it's late at night your time. So welcome and thanks for joining us. So our last presentation will be from Mahmoud Ehsan Hoque, National Officer for Environment in Bangladesh for the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, which is the UN's main refugee agency. Ehsan, as he likes to be called, describes himself as a humanitarian and landscape restoration practitioner. He's been working to promote environmental protection with UNHCR in the refugee camps of Bangladesh, with a focus on efforts to improve the environment, livelihood, natural resource management, and climate action within the camps and the surrounding communities, which they call host communities. Today, Ehsan will be presenting the amazing advances so far of the project, which was his capstone project during the ELTI online certificate program. And as he'll present, he'll show how he joined the certificate program at a perfect time when he and his partners were looking to understand the potential for regeneration and all the different strategies for engaging with stakeholders, the restoration strategies to implement, all within a really complicated social and ecological situation within the Cox's Bazar refugee camps in southern Bangladesh. So it's really inspiring case. I'm so excited that he's here to share with us the amazing transformation they've observed.
Thank you, Gillian. Greetings to you all.
Hello, mates, respected Yale faculties, interested participants from around the world. Good day to you. My name is Mohammad Ehsanul Hoque. I work for UNHCR in Bangladesh since 2018, and I'm one of the alumnus of the online certificate course on landscape restoration organized by Environmental Leadership and Training Initiative. And Cox's Bazar is one of the southernmost districts of Bangladesh, which hosts nearly 1 million refugees. And here, to reduce the impact of refugees on environment, we are fortunate that we had the chance to work from the beginning of the emergency. And here we have one energy and environment technical working group under the coordination structure of intersector coordination group, and where there are 20 partners, including Bangladesh Forest Department, the Refugee Relief and Repatriation Commission, or UN agencies, and other NGOs. So I had the chance to share my experience with my peers of the cohort of 2019-20, and also engage in discussion with them, share my experience, and also about the problems and challenges that we are facing here. And on the other hand, I actually used the knowledge gained from the course, specifically on different strategies of landscape restoration, and how to onboard stakeholders and identify stakeholders and setting indicators. So I'll be sharing our experience of last 3 years of restoration intervention. I'm happy that after these 3 years, we can observe some early indication of restoration, as that is evident in this paired picture. You can see on the left-hand side, that one is from 2018, and that is some barren hill you can see. On the right-hand side, that is just after 2 years, with green coverage and refugee households just situated under the tree on a more stable condition. So I'll be talking about mostly project and site context and problems, and how we identified the activities and what are the results, and then the challenges that we faced and how we addressed those, what are the way forward. In the interest of time, I would focus on few activities and results only. So at the beginning, we actually consulted many research and studies and secondary documents to identify the forest management history of the region. Inani Protected Forest, which is just adjacent to the Kutupalong mega camps, actually has been providing the ecosystem services to the downstream people living in downstream, and also providing habitat to a rich biodiversity. And we traced forest management practices for last 400 years, which we have found in the beginning was mainly influenced by conflict among tribes, and then mostly it was shifting cultivation practices, and later it again during the colonial period, this forest management practice are oriented on revenue generation, and during Bangladesh era, it again transformed to more on food security, and during this time actually we observed deforestation and forest degradation started. So there are these existing trends. For Inani National Park, studies revealed that since 90s to 2010, standing tree cover actually reduced from 70% to 30%. For Teknaf Wildlife Sanctuary, it reduced by 46% during the same period. Here you can see some of the land cover map from 1989 to 2009, and that actually shows how land cover has been converted. And refugees actually made it to Bangladesh within very short span of time in late 2017. Now, as of March, 884,000 refugees are living in this in 34 refugee camps in Bangladesh. On the right-hand side, you can see this is the southernmost point, and this is Myanmar, and that is Bangladesh. Refugee camps are there. This is one peninsula. if we zoom in, you can see that camps are so close to the protected forest, and that is actually our site, these camps and beyond. So one rapid environmental impact assessment conducted by UNDP that has found that for establishing these camps, more than 5,000 forest land was cleared, which could be resulted in declining water quality, soil quality, air quality, and also to the host community livelihoods, agriculture and other livelihoods. So camps are not like other restoration sites. We had to consider so many things like the density. If we just compare the density of Kutupalong camps with Denver in USA and Cox's Bazar in Bangladesh, we have found that in Kutupalong camps, density is 20 times higher than in Denver and 3 times higher in Cox's Bazar. So within a land scarce country, even the camps are more dense than even the host community. And then the camps are situated within hilly terrain, soil condition is not that good, and triggered with intense rainfall, there are many vulnerabilities like landslides, slope failure, and then flood, lightning and strikes. Actually, it has been observed that from April 2019 until December 2020, about 250,000 individuals are affected due to these types of hazards. And then their purchasing powers are not also that good, which is also crucial for ensuring ensuring sustainability of any intervention, but that is not there. And of the activities, I'll talk about few in the interest of time, as earlier shared. So, based on my lessons that I have learned from the course, we immediately tried to understand the degradation type and magnitude, which we have found as lethal and acute. For the plantation strategy, we have considered that the site is close to the forest, and then soil seed bank was still there. That means assisted natural regeneration could be possible. We identified the drivers and pressures, and we have found that refugees are highly dependent to the forest since they are collecting fuel wood. So we immediately compared the available option and have found LPG is the cleaner and the cheapest fuel around the area, and then we started distributing LPG. And also in collaboration with Energy and Environment Technical Working Group, we developed this technical guideline, and then later, just a few months ago, based on our other assessment, we have revised the list of plant species and now are considering more parameters like canopy size, light, site tolerance, and all those. And due to concerted effort by all agencies and all actors, we have managed to bring 1,100 acres of degraded land under mixed vegetation. And I am happy to share survival rate is also good, more than 80%. And here in on the right-hand side of the screen, that is one map of the deforested and afforested site within the camps. And we have commissioned one study to know more about soil health and whether afforestation activities are contributing to soil health, and we have found that some of the parameters are responsive to. And also in planting blocks, natural regenerations are also observed. We have found 14 such species which actually occurred naturally. And our human-elephant contact project. So since refugee camps actually blocked the remaining corridor of the Asian elephants, which is migratory in nature, in early few months of the emergency, we observed so many human-elephant conflicts, and actually 13 refugees died due to such conflicts. So we immediately partnered with IUCN and started human-elephant contact intervention. We trained refugee volunteers on how to manage crowd, how to deter elephant, and how to guard from the camps from elephant watchtowers. There are 624 such volunteers and 100 watchtowers are there. And they have managed so far more than 250 such incidences. I'm happy to share with you that no elephants or no refugees were hurt during this process. And in 2019, we did another study in October, while 100% coverage with LPG was not achieved, but still we have found that for refugees, demand for fuel would reduced by 80%, for host community it reduced by 50%, and that is also contributing to nutrition score. That means now food diversity is also there, and children have more time for education, as well as women, they have more time for other productive activities. So all this journey was not so smooth. We also have faced challenges. Still we are facing challenges. On my right hand side, you can see two stranded elephants at the estuary of Naf. Actually, since August 2020, we have observed 4 times elephants actually moved to Bangladesh, crossing the Naf River, which is not their corridor. So that could be one big risk for the host community people, and we are feeling that that is our strong necessity is there for a peninsula-wide planning. Our partner IUCN, they are now working with Bangladesh Forest Department, other development actors, to have more elephant response team for the host community people. And then it is difficult to change the mindset from disaster proofing to disaster preparedness, but based on our experience and data, monitoring data that we have collected for nature-based solution, biological land stabilization. So we are now slowly getting there, and it is now people are understanding that nature-based solution, though a bit time-consuming, but it is the best option. And during COVID-19 situation, to ensure timely delivery and right species of plants, we did route training, bed shifting, since planting is a time-bound activity. In 2020, we were getting delayed due to the movement restriction. So we had to do this route training, bed shifting in the nursery. And then to reduce the exposure, we allowed only 1 elephant response team volunteer to the tower. Earlier, there were 2. We continued, excuse me, our planting maintenance, maintaining distance and with hygiene practices. And also just below, as I was saying, that it is difficult to change the mindset from concretization to nature-based solution. That is one of the example of one stream which has been concretized by other actors. So yeah, as just shared about the challenge, we are now working with other actors to have a longer-term environmental strategy for the whole peninsula, and then to ensure sustainable supply chain for the biodegradable construction material. We have adopted bamboo forestry model. On the right hand side, you can see the picture of branch cutting. We are trying to grow bamboo from branch cutting actually, and that is one picture. And due to ongoing monitoring and evaluation, we have reduced the demand for fuel, that is LPG, refilling from 10 cylinder per year to 9.3 cylinder, and also with pressure cooker, we have found that excuse me, we have found that 30 to 50% fuel efficiency is possible. So we are planning to expand it to other camps to have more savings in terms of resources. And collaboration and partnership is crucial. We are continuing, we are doing it. We want to expand it, and through the technical working group and also with partnership with local universities and practitioners. So thank you very much. That's all from my end. Here are some links that I have listed down. If you are interested to know more, you can click on those. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you so much, Ehsan. It's so, again, another super inspiring talk, and so neat to hear the impressive results you are having, as well as the next steps that you're engaging with. So in this area that's so densely populated. So thank you so much for sharing. As mentioned in the chat, we've officially reached our time, but since we have our speakers here today, we're going to extend for another few minutes to give a chance for us to have at least get to one question for the panel and then share some news about upcoming events. If you all have to leave, we understand. We'll send out the recording afterwards, but if you can stay for a few minutes, we invite you to stay. So now we call on our panel to activate your cameras and microphones if you're able. And we have just a few minutes left, but after hearing your amazing projects, I'd like to ask each of you to share, what do you think is one main lesson learned from your work that you really wish to share with others, all the guests joining today, who are considering engaging in these types of conservation and restoration projects? Maybe we could start with Ehsan, since we started with Tharuka for the presentations.
Okay. Thank you so much, Gillian. Actually, much to say, but you just limited it to only one lesson. So for humanitarian situation, restoration in humanitarian situation, I think my one lesson that I would like to share with all, that is actually partnership and collaboration. Here we did partnership with Department of Forest, with local universities for capacity building, monitoring indicator, and all those. And then importantly, our partners are the refugees and the host community who actually implement the project and who with whom we actually do the participatory monitoring. So for such landscape, where that is a kind of multi-resource, multi-user setting, and there I think there is no alternative than for partnership and collaboration. Thank you.
Thanks, Ehsan. Others from our panel?
Yeah, can I go for? Yeah, thank you so much. So the lesson learned for me, that is the key role of trees in land restoration. So I believe that, and if you want to restore our agricultural land, so we need to use trees and try to keep those trees alive. So in our experience, working with these stakeholders, working with family members, we saw that we have a very high number of survival rate, or the very high survival rate of tree planted. That is not the case in certain area. So that means you need to responsibilize people with what they are doing. If they plant trees, let them know that this tree is for them. So they can manage those trees, and those trees can be survived. Thank you.
Thank you, Cherif.
Yeah, Gillian and others. For me, I think one of the big lessons we learned, I mean, in my context, this is still in design. We are yet to roll out the project. But what we really learned is what I showed you on the maps, the importance of really the field work. Although we saw a lot of possibility, potential, the GIS mapping, the satellite imagery shows us a lot, but when you really go to the field and look at what's out there, things were not as it is, in the mapping exercise. So really need to corroborate mapping with real field work. That's essential, especially when you're talking about biodiversity projects. The field conditions are really, you really can't plan these things remotely. Secondly, if I may, I just want to reiterate a point in partnerships, because a lot of these lands are owned by private sector or private individuals, but the interest and investment in conservation went far beyond what we expected. Even, you know, surprising the public sector institutions that that were involved. So I think we kind of underestimate sometimes the potential for private sector to engage in work like this. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And Ehsan, I think we have time if you had another point, another lesson you wanted to share, you're welcome to.
Thank you so much, Gillian. Actually, I was just answering to one of the questions that I have received in the chat box. That is on what major challenges that we faced related to soil quality. So let me put it in different way, actually. Yes, it is really difficult to have plantation in a highly disturbed situation and where huge human movements or activities are there. And also, since it is a land scarce condition, there are many priorities from different perspectives. So we faced challenge mostly from gardening inside the plantation blocks, because some of the practices that are not good for, and refugees are clearing the ground vegetation, so which actually promotes soil erosion. And our assessment findings that actually confirms that in the plantation blocks where there are gardening, these types of vegetable cultivation, and there are no natural regeneration. On the other hand, in the plantation blocks where there are no such gardening, we have found 14 species which actually naturally regenerated. And then talking about another lesson, that is, I'd like to mention here about data, especially in emergency situation, collection of data and then to communicate with other stakeholders, and also onboarding a stakeholder is really important. So for our case, what we have done, we have been collecting this data from since the emergency when it actually began in 2017. Now we have ample amount of data, and we can what should I say, that actually generate information with which we can communicate with many stakeholders, even the government, that now they can see that, well, there are some degradation, but the signs are there. So they are also not that hostile or to the refugees. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So we have, now that we're 10 minutes over our time, we have a whole bunch of questions that are very specific to the different presentations. What we'll do is we have a record of those, and we'll send those to the individual speakers with your contact information. So hopefully they can get information to you about those questions that are about specific species and other aspects of the dynamics for their individual presentations. And to close out, we really wanted to extend another thank you to our speakers here today. Thank you for all the time you took to prepare these presentations, to give the update to this global audience, and for everything that you do. You know, it's one thing, as Dr. Gare mentioned at the beginning, it's one thing to talk about planning. It's a whole nother thing to be on the ground and to get into the weeds of all this and deal with the real challenges you all face. And it's so inspiring to see the transformation that has been done already and that is planned for the future. So it's again, wonderful to have you, and congratulations. So to close out, I'm going to share my screen for some closing opportunities to learn more in addition to this panel here today. So one is that if you go to our website, the ELTI website, it's elti.yale.edu. We'll put the link in the chat. And at this site, we have a link called events. that you can click, and that's where you can find out about all of our upcoming events, as well as information about this speaker series as a whole. We have an online short course on tropical forest restoration and agroforestry. It's the registration opens next week. So if you're interested in this, keep a lookout on our website, but also feel free to contact me at Gillian.bloomfield@yale.edu. Also, there is our Tropical Forest Landscapes online certificate program, the program that these 3 participants were part of. We're actively in our 3rd year of the program now, and we'll be opening up our call for applications sometime towards the end of 2021. So if you're interested in this program, we encourage you to go to our website, tropicalrestorationcertificate.yale.edu, and sign up for our mailing list so that you can be the first to know when we open up the call for applicants, as well as receive different notifications and information about the program. And then of course, you can email tropicalcertificate@yale.edu if you have any questions. And again, that's our year-long certificate program that these participants presenting today were part of, where they participated in the capstone project course, where they applied everything they were learning over the course of a whole year to a specific site or landscape of interest. For those of you who speak Spanish or have networks with people who speak Spanish, we have a webinar series in Spanish that's starting in 2 weeks. And so we have, it's on the same theme, and we'll feature alumni from our Neotropics training program and our online program featuring individuals from throughout Latin America who are ELTI alumni sharing about their experiences. Join us. The first session is on July 29th, and that session will have Vanessa Betancourt from the Ministry of Environment in Panama and Marina Mason from the National University of Loja in Ecuador. So we'll put in the chat the information for that. If either you speak Spanish or people within your network do, please share with them the information about this other webinar series or complement to this webinar series. Also, we have an online short course series in Spanish that's going to be launching very soon. It's a 3-course series, and the registration is open now for the first course in the series on forest restoration and productive landscapes of Latin America. So if you're interested, Saskia's going to put the link in the chat. The registration is open, and you can also contact Saskia at saskiasantamaria@yale.edu. And then finally, save the date for our next webinar for this part of this series, which will be on August 12th, 2021, where we'll hear from a panel of different speakers from ELTI's field training programs in Latin America and Asia. So thank you so much. Thank you again also to our webinar planning committee, Jacob Slesser, David Nidell, Saskia Santamaria. And for more information, you can again go to ELTI's website as well as the certificate program website. So again, thank you everyone for logging in today, for joining us. Thank you to our speakers, to Eva and Saskia, and we hope that you all take care. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.